I am Neil Larthos. I am the next Abdullah. You are the next Neville Goddard. Your SP gets wet every single time they think of you. And your bank account makes Jeff Bezos look homeless. Okay? Welcome to my manifestation channel. Today we are talking about shifting states. Okay? So let's say, for example, you want to shift to the state of consciousness of someone who is rich. Okay? I'm not going to waste any time. Let's just get right into it. The easiest way to shift states is to research the best in the game by going on Google. I shit you not. Nowadays, you can type in anything on Google and it'll pop up right away, okay? Let's say you're trying to learn about being a billionaire. Look up about Jeff Bezos. And don't just see his annual salary, but research what it was like for him during his path on the way to his success. Because when you look at the nooks and crannies of Jeff Bezos's career and what got him to where he is, it's not going to necessarily tell you that he invested in all these different stocks and he worked really hard and blah, 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 blah. I want you to dig more deeper and see the psychology of this character, all the way down to the point where if you have to watch Jeff Bezos interviews to see his body language, the way that he allowed his wife to be flirtatious with Leonardo DiCaprio, whatever you have to do, look at every detail. And I kid you not, eventually, whether you are learning about Jeff Bezos or whether you are trying to be an alpha male stud and you are studying Brad Pitt, okay? Which is actually someone who I study to be my alpha masculine self. Whatever case it is, I guarantee you that during this research, it might not even take an hour. It might only take 5 minutes and something's going to click. You will start walking differently. You will start talking differently. And the moment that you start noticing a difference in your body, there's almost like a energy source that happens in your stomach, where it feels kind of like that feeling where they drain you out of your fucking sinuses when you have bronchitis or something like that. You will literally feel it in your body. Like they took out the demons of your natural consciousness and replaced it with the angels of your desired state. That's what you're going to feel. And you won't necessarily have to be a tryhard. You will almost start feeling like if you have the thoughts of Jeff Bezos, like if you have the consciousness of Brad Pitt. Because when you start reading about things that Brad Pitt did when he was younger and how he dealt with adversity, you're not just looking at the way that he dresses, the color of his hair and the style of his hair, like a lot of these Michael Jackson lookalikes all of a sudden who are showing up. I guarantee you that they don't actually understand the trauma that he went through, the controversy, the trauma of, you know, practically getting spanked every single time he misstepped in his choreography by his father. You know, when you dig into the psychology of this character, even if it's just reading a little bit about the biography, you won't have to practice in the mirror or try to get the voice down like if you're an actor in a movie. You will actually start thinking like that, I promise you. So whether it's that you're trying to be a wealthy person, a billionaire, a CEO, an entrepreneur, or if you're trying to be a more attractive person, maybe you're trying to be the sexiest person in the room, right? Whatever state of consciousness, whatever state you're trying to shift to, go to the best of the best. If you're trying to be a hard worker and that's the state that you want to go to, then study David Goggins, study Lionel Messi, study Cristiano Ronaldo, and see what you got to do. I remember when I just started working in the restaurant business, okay? Speaking of Lionel Messi, I remember it was around the year that they went to the World Cup, when Argentina and Lionel Messi went to the World Cup and faced Germany. I remember watching the semifinals of Argentina versus the Netherlands, and holy shit, that was one of the most intense soccer games that I've ever watched. It was what made me fall in love with soccer, because fuck USA Soccer, that is, you know, for soccer moms. But I fell in love with soccer, and it got to the point where I couldn't even focus on cleaning the dining tables at my fast food job or taking orders, because I was so engaged in the game. And I remember just thinking like, oh, I want to see Lionel Messi score, and oh shit, I hope that when they go to the finals they kick Germany's ass. And I started imagining like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they did a fucking half-court goal, and wouldn't it be awesome if they, you know, got a penalty kick in this situation? And I even imagined like, what would it feel like to be Messi right there at the penalty line, you know, where all he had to do was make the goal and they win the World Cup, and hearing the crowd roar and billions of people watching around the world and seeing you as the hero of your country and going down in the record books and holding up the cup, all while I was refilling napkins at my fast food job, right? There was no soccer ball involved. There was no camera broadcasting me in front of millions of people. Yet no one could tell me otherwise. I was Lionel Messi in that moment. And guess the fuck what? Within less than 2 years, I got the job as a manager of that place. And I even remember so many times where I would not get a promotion, but it seemed like every single time I got denied a promotion, somebody quit or somebody got fired. And it's like all the dominoes had to fall in order to attract what I was putting my awareness on, the state that I was shifting to, which was that I was going above and beyond with the energy behind this job, where typically most people would be one hand filling up the napkins at the table and the other hand on TikTok. While me, I was treating every single spot on the table like if I was juking out a defender on the soccer field. And every single order, okay, you ordered a number 10, boom. And then you order number 5, boom. One finger on the number 5, one finger on the number 10, just very athletic about it. And it got to the point where I would carry that over to when I was making orders. And anybody who knows the way that I work at the restaurants that I've worked at, I treat it like a fucking sport. And it's all because I used to, when I was growing up in the restaurant business, I would use the excitement that I would have when I was watching a football game or a fucking FIFA World Cup match, and I would carry over that excitement and just pretend I was in that game. Well, that's the way you have to do it. You basically pretend. You basically get to the point where you're so engaged in the storyline, whether it's a fucking movie you're watching, whether it's a soccer match, or whether it's a biography of a person who you look up to, who you would like to become an example of. If you're trying to be a billionaire like Jeff Bezos or an entrepreneur like Steve Jobs, it's all about that engagement. It's all about, okay, something clicks when I'm reading their biography or when I'm watching that soccer match. And when that thing clicks, you will feel it. I can't necessarily explain it to you. You just will know. Okay, it's kind of like I can't explain to you the feeling of how it feels like when you have to pee. You just know what the fuck the feeling feels like. Well, it's the same thing here. You're gonna know when you feel that you are in the state, and once you're in that state, Nobody's going to tell you that you're not Lionel Messi. Nobody's going to tell you that you are not scoring the goal. All you have to do is either read the biography or watch the soccer match, whatever you got to do to get in the state. And that's really it. The actions come natural. And of course you will get out of the state and you will feel like, oh shit, I woke up back from the dream. Like, you know, the Hulk going down to Bruce Banner. But all you got to do is go back to the biography, go back to the soccer match. I even remember I would watch like walk-off home runs, which would really get me pumped to go to work the next day. And again, I've never played a single fucking baseball match to save my life. I can't even hit the baseball further than 40 feet, okay? Yet, no one was going to tell me that I didn't win the World Series in Game 7 like Joe Carter when I was squirting the tables with sanitizer. And thanks to them, 12 years later, I've now been a manager for practically my whole entire career. Promotion after promotion to different restaurants, and now they're asking for my help at multiple locations. Right? All because I put my awareness in something that got me to the state where I needed to be. I knew that if I wanted to do something more in the restaurant business, I couldn't just see it as just making tacos all day. So I went to the state where it was a sport, where I was the best in the game, where I had the mindset of Conor McGregor, like no one's gonna fucking beat me. I'm the best. I'm gonna knock him out in the first round. Right? So that's really all you have to do to shift states. And of course, the same thing goes for if you are trying to become a more attractive version of yourself. Yeah, you could ask yourself, what would the attractive version of me do and be? But let's face it, even the Beatles, when they were making music, they took inspiration from other Motown artists. Hell, some of their songs sound very eerily similar to music that came out during the same time. But do you think that Chuck Berry gave a fuck? No. They understood that the Beatles were doing their own thing, and many people consider them basically the Mozart of our time, right? Well, the way you become the Beatles of SPs is by looking at what other people who maybe might look like you, might have the same ethnicity, or might have the same personality, what did they do in order to be the ladies' man that you're trying to be? Or if you are not necessarily trying to be a ladies' man, but you're just trying to be more confident, what does the most confident person that you know, maybe it's not even a celebrity, maybe it's just somebody who you grew up with, if you have to, fucking talk to them. And I guarantee you that they're going to tell you something that eventually makes you go, oh shit, I've never seen it that way. And then boom, just walk in that awareness. And that's really it, guys. I mean, I could spend the next 5 minutes telling you more jibber jabber in order to get the fucking algorithm boosted, but you know, I know you guys have somewhere to be. So with that being said, guys, if you have more questions, leave them down below. I'm going to be doing consultations really soon. But until then, folks, I am Neil Larthos, and this is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. And I know that you're going to be okay.